All right. Two announcements, just to start us off. In order to be in the know of all of the grants and other exciting things that are happening, we have a STEM newsletter. It is, let me actually put in the chat these slides, the link to the slides so that you can find it and follow along with me. All right. So there is a STEM newsletter that you can sign up for, and you will be notified. It comes out monthly of different teacher opportunities, student opportunities, grants, etc., that is happening within the STEM department. There's also a DLCS leader network. There's also other content area networks as well. The DLCS Leader Network is a way for you to network with other curriculum leaders for digital literacy and computer science. We meet about 5 times per year, a combination of in-person meetings and virtual meetings. You can go ahead and use that sign-up sheet link that's there. And that link allows you to sign up for the other content areas. So if there are other curriculum leaders within your district for science or math, then you can forward that to them as well. We also have a new STEM webpage, which we're really excited about. It's a little bit more colorful and more organized. We have lots and lots of resources for you. So we have changed it up so that it hopefully will be easier for you to find the information that you need. When you go on to the digital literacy and computer science page, you will see this big blue box that has things grouped by implementation resources, educator resources, administrator resources, and more. I go ahead and put the slides in the chat again for new people who have arrived. All right, so we are ready to talk about the CS Engage grant to help students engage their creativity. We are very excited about this grant. It's similar to the DL Now grant that we've ran for the past 3 years and has been very successful. And we're looking for new cohorts of districts. I want to clarify, because we had a lot of people register for this information session, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page for terminology. There's 4 terms that I always found when I was in a school system that got very confused. Technology engineering, educational technology, digital literacy, and computer science. This grant is only for digital literacy and computer science. Technology engineering is part of science, and it is really where students learn the engineering design process for constructing things. The use of technology there is a little confusing. It doesn't mean computers. It means anything humans have created to solve a problem. Educational technology is the resources that we provide to teachers, Kahoot or smartboards that help them use technology to enhance their teaching and help students to understand more clearly. This grant does not cover technology engineering or educational technology. It covers things related to our DL and CS standards. So when we talk about digital literacy and computer science, we're not just talking about programming. That is one aspect of our DLCS standards, but it's the full scope of our standards we're looking to achieve with this grant. So digital literacy is our computing and society. Digital tools and collaboration, where students are selecting the digital tools, not the teacher, and that the students understand the difference between those tools. And then in computer science, we have so much more. We have than programming, we have computing systems, having students understand computing devices and networks like the internet and how that works. Computational thinking, algorithms, developing algorithms, learning how to use algorithms that might already be out there. Data science, how to evaluate data, as well as programming and modeling and simulation. So when we're talking about the CS Engage grant, although we have CS in there, it really is covering digital literacy and computer science. We feel like a lot of districts have more of the digital literacy in their districts, so we really want to engage students in the computer science aspects. So that's why we called it CS Engage. For those people who just joined us, I want to remind you that we are recording this and it will be on our STEM Grants webpage. So if you would like to turn off your video, feel free. And I will put the slides in the chat. All right, so just a caveat, all official details for this grant are in the grant posting, which is on the DESE website. If there is a discrepancy between what I might say in this presentation and the posting, use the grant posting information as the valid information. Hopefully I won't get anything wrong, but just so that you know that. So our CS Engage grant, there is a link to the grant on this slide of the posting. It's really to support districts in creating an implementation plan for an equity-driven, high-quality computer science education pathway from K to 12. Many districts have some computer science in high school. It might be just programming. And again, as I showed you, computer science is more than just programming. And we want to make sure that it is brought into the other grades as well, so that students feel at an early age that they can do computer science and that it is part of everything that they might want to do in the future. And to help engage them in early ages will help us to increase participation in high school. As part of this grant, we'll help you to identify issues in your district for capacity, access, participation, and engagement in CS. This is part of the CAPE framework that we'll talk about when we're in workshops for the grant, and help you to seek solutions in order to increase participation in CS courses. It's also meant to support teachers in learning CS skills and using high quality curriculum in teaching CS that aligns with our standards and challenges students at their grade level. And finally, ultimately, our goal is to engage students in grade level, challenging, but fun CS coursework. So the first step that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build a team. What we have found is that in order to engage in this work at the K to 12 level, you really need to have a district team who can support you and who can make decisions at the right level. So we're going to need people in these areas of responsibility: vision setting for the district. Many times, and I was a middle school teacher who was the only computer science teacher in my school and working to try to push computer science, it's hard for a teacher to make those kinds of changes by themselves. So we need this team where we have someone who can do vision setting for the district, make schedule modifications to the class schedules within the building, funding for staff, curricula, PD, and devices moving forward once you've developed this implementation plan and after the 3 years of the grant is over. Someone who can work on teacher capacity planning, coaching, and PD, especially at the elementary level. Decide whether or not your district would like to implement a local high school graduation requirement. And then the ability to include other subject area leaders to integrate digital literacy, perhaps into an ELA course, or integrating computer science into a math course or a science course. So what we're looking for you to build your team is to have at least a district administrator. This could be a curriculum leader or some other leader at the district level who has that communication with the superintendent to help make those decisions. Building administrators. We recommend that you start in your first year at middle school. So you would include a building administrator from the middle school level. And then DLCS teachers and or coaches. So you're going to create that district team. And then these are the steps that we take during this whole process. We developed this as part of the DL Now grant that has been happening for the previous 3 years. And we came up with this implementation process and really found it was very successful. These are all of the steps that we're going to take and help you to get through. So this first application part, which covers from application approval, probably in August, September timeframe, until June 30th of next year. We'll cover everything to the left of that dotted red line. And then there will be a continuation grant to cover those other two pieces and continue on. And I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to just take a minute and let you read through these steps and process them before I continue talking. All right. So we start working with your district team to help you create a vision for your district. Every district's needs are different. You need to look at your local context, and we will help you to go through workshops to create a vision for K-12 digital literacy and computer science within your district. We're going to help you take a look at the standards, the DLCS standards, and map out what is currently being met in your district and what those gaps are. And those gaps are what's going to help you to determine what sort of curriculum you'll ultimately have to implement in your district. We're also going to give you some data so that you can disaggregate the data, take a look at participation of our Black students, our brown students, our students with disabilities, female versus male, et cetera, and see again where those gaps are. And that all helps you to build your goals for this first year of the grant and then future years of the grant. You'll pinpoint where you'd like to start working. Again, we recommend middle school because it is a feeder to high school, and the earlier you start students in computer science, the more comfortable they feel that they can take on computer science and they can be part of it. If for some reason you feel that your middle school is very solid, then your goal might be high school or elementary school. And then once you have that grade span that you want to focus on, we'll work with you to select a curriculum, a high quality curriculum that is comprehensive, meaning that it hits most of our DLCS standards. There are a lot of different curricula that's out there that's a programming tutorial in, say, Java or JavaScript. But what we're looking to do is get you onto high quality instructional materials that hit all of our standards. And that will take you through to the end of June next year. And then over the summer, the grant provides training for teachers in that grade span on that curriculum, and then helps to support them while they're implementing in the classroom. So if we look at our planned timeline for this, again, you're applying for a grant to cover you through June 30th of next year. And then there will be a continuation that you can apply for to cover next summer through to the next June. So for this time frame from October this year until June 30th, we will have 2 in-person full-day meetings in October and November to really help you go through something called Script, which is from CS for All. That helps you look at where you are in your district and where you want to be and help you set your vision. Then in January and February, there will be some existing standards analysis, and these will be 3 virtual 2-hour meetings that we cover from December through, say, March. And then in the March-April timeframe, we'll have 1 in-person full-day meeting to really do a curriculum selection. And what we're looking to do is have a bunch of curriculum providers come and let you, play around with their curriculum and take a test drive on it and see if it works for your district. And then we'll have a one-on-one, just maybe 1-hour check-in call with your district team leader to finalize PD plans for the summer. So in that March-April timeframe, you'll need to start recruiting teachers for your summer PD. We find that if we wait too long, then they have other summer jobs or they have other obligations that don't allow them to take that PD during the summer. Also in this March-April timeframe, we're going to open up the continuation grant that you'll apply for that will fund the summer PD and fall activities. And then in the April vacation or June timeframe, we've introduced a new course, which has been very successful, which is an Intro to CS course for teachers who are new to CS. It provides teachers with a way to engage with computer science as a student. If they have never done any kind of computer science, we found that they are very reticent to jump into a curriculum and start learning a curriculum when they don't understand the underlying content. So this was a 3-day course where we had teachers evaluate their before and after CS content knowledge. And it made a tremendous confidence boost for these teachers and felt they knew a lot more about computer science after they took this. So it empowers them to feel confident to go into that curriculum PD. So this next timeline would be covered by the continuation grant because it would start July 1st of next year. So July and August of next year, you would have summer PD for teachers. The administrators would attend a DLCS for admins PD so that they understand what digital literacy and computer science is. We may make this a school year one if it works better with administrator schedules. And then we also recommend that counselors, especially the high school counselors, attend a Counselors for Computing course. It's a very short course, but it provides them with information about computer science and how computer science is accessible to all students. We find that counselors become gatekeepers in the high school for computer science, and that they fall into the same bias that many people do, that boys want to go into computer science if they have an open spot in their schedule, whereas girls are recommended to take an art class or a journalism class. So we want counselors to really understand more about computer science and see how all students can participate and engage in it. In August or September, teachers will have a chance, if they so choose, they'll have a 2-day stipend to meet together within that school, working on that same curriculum, to really plan out how they're going to implement it during the school year. This is not a facilitated meeting by the grant. It just provides funding for your teachers to meet. And then August to June of the following year, we continue the process that we did in that you look at your new goals for another grade span. Going from middle school in your first year, you might expand to high school, or you might go down to elementary school. During this time frame, educators can also purchase devices for their classrooms, as well as attend any follow-up curriculum from the summer PD with a stipend. All right, so I'm going to stop here before I move on to other pieces and see if there's any questions so far. You can just come off of mute and ask.
Hi, I work for a charter school that's grades 5 through 12. We are our own district, and so I'm wondering if we're eligible if we're not implementing in lower grades.
Yes. So you're 5 to 12? Yes. Charter schools are eligible. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And similarly with regional districts, there have been regional districts where they are the middle and high school, and then they wanted to expand to the elementary feeder districts, which was a totally separate district, and we worked with them to be able to do that as well. There are some questions here in the chat. The DLCS district implementation process document is not a clickable link. I will find that after, because it's an image. It is on our DLCS website. Do you have to be planning for grades K to 12 to be eligible? Okay, so I think you just asked that question. Is district team leader the same as the contact person for this proposal? In some cases it is, some cases it isn't. So it depends on how you want to set it up. So we definitely need to know who would be the grant contact if there are any grant funding questions. So all of the ed grants and funding piece that has to happen, usually in your business office. And then you might have someone who fills out the proposal, but isn't going to be going to the workshops. We need to have that person. But then you'll have someone ongoing who's going to the workshops, who's coordinating the teachers that are going to be going to PD. That would be the district team leader. Laura, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? All right. So it's hard to explain here, but this is really an iterative process over 3 years where you do some planning and goals, and then teachers get training during the summer, as well as some follow-up training during the school year. And then in that school year, you're beginning your next round of planning for your next grade levels. All right, so funding for this application covers you from October through June 30th. And it isn't going to be a high amount of cost for this piece because we have facilitated district team meetings that DESE is covering, and you don't have to put funding in for those. That's just, you're part of the grant. You get to come to these district team meetings. There is substitute reimbursement and travel for those meetings. You can put in funding for the substitute reimbursement that will go into the grant, as well as car travel, gas mileage. Intro to CS course, if you feel that during that, the grade span that you would like to focus on, if it's middle school, if you have 2 teachers who have never taught computer science before, and you know that you want them to be able to go to the Intro to CS course, put that into the budget. If you're doing elementary, that tends to be a lot more teachers. So you'll have to decide what grade span. Again, we recommend middle school starting, but if you have a different grade span, and then how many of those teachers are going to be new to CS that you think might need to take an Intro to CS course. That would, the grant would cover the cost of the course, as well as a stipend for the teacher, which is $200 a day. The Intro to CS course is 3 days, and then travel costs. Then the tentative funding for July of next year through June of the following year, implementation of your year 1 plan. So summer curriculum PD can only be for high quality instructional materials that are comprehensive curriculum, meaning they meet most of our DLCS standards. And we have a curriculum guide of curricula that you can select from. That part of the grant, this continuation grant, would cover the course cost, teacher stipends, $1,000 for a week of PD, travel in Massachusetts, 4 school year PD sessions for select curriculum. For instance, code.org, CS Discoveries has 4 follow-up PD sessions during the school year as check-ins and furthering information for teachers. I believe Project Lead the Way also has additional sessions during the school year. So teachers would receive stipends for attending those, as well as the cost would be paid for through the grant. Teachers who attend the summer PD can receive stipends for 2 school year curriculum planning days. This probably will be in August before school starts. It'll be in district planning and not a workshop that we set up. And then up to $1,000 per teacher for classroom CS materials. There's a couple of questions in here I want to jump to. Does the DLCS teacher on the district team need to have a DLCS license? We are looking to apply for grades 6 to 8, but do not have a DLCS licensed teacher at the middle school level. A library license with an instructional technology background. Oh, we would have to work with you on that on a case-by-case basis because it depends on whether or not that person is actually going to be licensed to be able to teach it. It doesn't make sense for them to go through the PD if they are not licensed. They could certainly be part of the workshop meetings and help determine the vision, but you will have to determine within your district whether or not they are eligible to teach the course at the middle school level. Where can we find the curriculum guide with a list of resources? On our handy dandy DLCS webpage. You can find it under implementation resources. All right. So also, so I talked about the funding that starts July of next year will be implementation of your year 1 plan, as well as school year meetings with the district team to develop your year 2 plan, as well as any intro to CS workshops for new teachers for that next grade span you'll be working on. Are there any other questions on this? All right, other important grant information. One thing that I don't have on here is that if you are, so this is a 3-year grant. We feel that 3 years is a great way to get you started on what your implementation plan is. You may not be able to implement all of it into your district in those 3 years, but you'll have a plan for what curriculum should be taught at each of your grades K to 12. And therefore, those districts that had the DL Now grant for 3 years already have their implementation plan. Therefore, they are not eligible for the CS Engage grant. If you were in DL Now and you had 2 years of the grant, then you would be eligible for 1 year of the CS Engage. So it's a maximum of 3 years. As part of this grant, we will have a contracted PD coordinator that we will be putting out an RFR for that. This PD coordinator is going to run the workshops. DESE will also be in attendance at the workshops, but they will run the workshops for you through the school year. They'll create a website for meeting information, so you'll know when the next workshop is, if there's any pre-work you need to do for that, what we'll be discussing. They will schedule the Intro to CS course as well as the summer curriculum PD. So they're your one-stop shopping to really help you get the PD that you need for your teachers. One thing that you need to understand with the PD coordinator is that they will be managing the stipend payments for your teachers. These will not be paid directly to the teachers from your district. The reason being is that in some districts, they don't pay stipends for PD. In other districts, they pay one rate while another district pays another rate. And that becomes problematic when all of these teachers are in the same class and one person finds out they're making $1,000 for that week of PD and someone else is making none. So we want to make sure that this grant is fair to all of our teachers. So all teachers will be paid the same amount in the stipends, and it will be paid by the PD coordinator. They will collect W-2s from your teachers, and then they will invoice the district for the teachers who attended the PD. All of that funding is through the grant. So you as a district would pay the PD coordinator on that invoice from the grant funds and not from your district budget. The other piece that's important to understand is that we will have a grant evaluator on this grant. So we will contract a grant evaluator, and district teams and teachers attending the PD will be asked to participate in surveys for the evaluation. So as getting the grant funding, we are asking that you will be responsive to the grant evaluator. Are there any questions on this? Oh, thank you to the people who put the implementation guide in there. If someone could find the curriculum guide and put it in there, that would be great. And Renee, when I say DLCS webpage, I do mean the DLCS. So you can search for DESI DLCS and it will find it there for you.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. All right, so the application itself. There are 3 parts to the application. Part 1 is your general standard signature page, which has to be a wet signature, which means you print out the sheet, you hand it to an authorized signatory. They actually have to use a pen on it, and then you have to scan it as a PDF. It can't be an electronic signature at this point. Part 2 is a budget workbook, which I'll show you on the next slide. And part 3 is program information. So this is the budget workbook. It has 2 sheets to it. As you see at the bottom, you'll see those tabs at the bottom. Each of those is a sheet in this workbook. You want to start with the start here, and you will be filling in all of the yellow boxes, all of the yellow cells. From there, the gray boxes on the right, the substitute days will be calculated, and then that information will be automatically populated into your final budget. So it asks you questions like, what's your district's substitute daily reimbursement? How many educators will be participating in the 2-day script workshop? And who will require a substitute? So for example, you could have 2 teachers as part of the workshops, and then a principal and a curriculum leader. The principal and a curriculum leader do not need to have substitutes because they're not teaching classes. So even though 4 people will be attending, only 2 of them need substitutes. And then the same for the virtual meetings and the 1-day curriculum selection meeting. I've put in $421 as an estimated travel expense for 4 people attending 3 in-person meetings at 60 miles round trip. We don't know yet where these meetings will be. And if we find that once we schedule those, that we need to increase your budget for that, then we can certainly go ahead and do that. The last yellow cell on the bottom is about how many educators at your selected grade span do you estimate will participate in the 3-day Intro to CS PD workshop in April or June. So again, you're only going to be looking at 1 grade span to begin with, hopefully starting with middle school, and saying how many of those teachers do you think will need to go to the Intro to CS. The last thing I want to tell you about is the district team point of contact. That's item number 2 there. That you would have to put into your final budget sheet. That's the only piece where you need to put that into your final budget sheet directly and not have it automatically calculated. So your district team point of contact is really the person that we will be communicating with. Our PD coordinator will be communicating with. We'll be setting up workshop dates, and then your job would be to disseminate that information to your district team. And so for that, you could put in, it's optional, but you could put in funding of about 1 to 2 hours a month for 10 months. And however you want to put it in, as partial salary or as a stipend, that's up to you in your district. Are there any questions on the budget so far? And Nicole, thank you for putting the curriculum guide in there. Appreciate that. Oh, and finally, some districts, larger districts, have indirect costs. Those you would be putting directly in the final budget sheet. It's not part of this particular page. All right, part 3, program information. So again, you must have a district team that consists of 1 district administrator, 1 school administrator for the grade span on which you would be focusing. Again, we recommend middle school, and 1 digital literacy and computer science teacher. Again, it could be your library media teacher, someone who understands the digital literacy and computer science standards and content area. They are expected to attend all in-person and virtual meetings. We really, again, found that it works out much better and more things can happen and decisions can be made when you have the full district team. Also in the program information, it will ask you a bunch of questions about demographics of your district, et cetera. The very last part E, is commitments. There are 4 commitments that we ask you to read thoroughly and ensure that your district can honor those commitments, and then check them off if you feel that you can. Dates. So this Friday, June 30th, please submit any additional questions that you have. You are certainly welcome to ask questions verbally here, but if you have additional questions once you go back and talk with people, then you can submit those Friday, June 30th. I cannot, because it is a competitive grant, I cannot answer questions directly if you email me. I have to collect them all, put an FAQ together, and then post that on the grant website. The grant is due on Friday, July 28th by 5 p.m. Eastern time. And you can look into the grant posting to see exactly how you need to put those applications in. But the 5 p.m., we cannot accept anything after 5 p.m. 5:01, 5:02, please get it in earlier to ensure that you have it with us. All right, questions. Could you review the maximum projected amounts and eligible expenses? Am I right in understanding the DLS teacher salary is not ineligible? Correct. Salaries, other than the district team contact, which is 1 to 2 hours a month for 10 months, we cannot pay for any other salaries. And this part of the grant is not for the summer PD. It is just for the workshop activities. So it will be substitute reimbursement, travel, and the Intro to CS course, which would be happening before June 30th. What other questions do you have? Oh, my district has 5 middle schools. How would we approach this? So you could, it depends on how many people you have to work with. You could have, if you have 1 teacher for each of your 5 middle schools, you could have them attend the summer PD. Maybe you'll have only 1 of them attend the workshops, if that makes sense, or 2 who might be the more of the leaders within the 5. However you decide to engage them in the meetings, you can do that. Some districts have also said, you know, doing 6 to 8 is too much. We're just going to start with grade 6, or we're going to do 6 and 7, and then we'll continue with 8 and 9 next year. You can decide how to break it up depending on whether you're a smaller district or a larger district. Will this grant be included in the new GEM system? I believe it will not be. Your application actually has to be emailed to CIS grants, so you're not putting it into GEMS directly. Do you have an estimate of when the evaluator will be brought on board? That RFR is yet to be written, but that will be written very soon. What other questions do we have?
So Paula, same thing with like we have 5 middle schools. So would we still have 1 district team and just an administrator from one of those schools is what we would have?
You can decide how you would like that to, sorry, the screen just got wonky. Let's see. I think that what you could do, if you can't get all 5 building principals involved, what you would do, I would hope that you could have at least 2 involved. But then you would need to communicate with the other building principals and ensure before you go to the next workshop that they understand what the requirements are. Because one of the things that we want to have happen is to have equity for all of the students, so that if they are at one middle school, they're getting the same amount of hours as another middle school. And I know that logistically that doesn't always work, but as best you can bring in those principals and get them to work with you, the better off it will be.
And the grant would cover multiple teachers from multiple buildings.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Yep. And there would be no costs for the principals. So if you could get them all to attend, other than travel, gas mileage. In your experience, how much time during the school year is necessary to do justice to the CS standards at the middle school level? I don't have an answer for that at this point. It's something that we can discuss as part of the workshops. I mean, it varies. I don't want to dictate a certain number of hours because DESE can't necessarily dictate that, but also not every school is able to achieve those number of hours. If we already have an AP CS class in high school, are we eligible? Yes, because how are they going to jump into AP without ever having taken CS before? So absolutely, let's get more kids into those APCS classes by introducing them to it earlier. How long is the Intro to CS course, and will it be in person or virtual? So it is 3 days. There is one for elementary school, specific to elementary school, and there's one for middle and high school. You know, it doesn't cover everything about computer science, but it gets teachers to start feeling comfortable with the concepts that they will have to learn as part of the curriculum PD. It will be in person. It's a great class. We had, I showed you the slide of the improvements and how much more confident they felt in their ability, in their understanding of computer science. Definitely a valuable class.
Just to add to that, could like the leaders attend that course if they wanted to too, just to get an idea of what the teachers would be teaching? Would that just
absolutely? Yep, sure. If you want to learn about it, we'd be happy to have you. The more people who understand what's involved in it. And so again, you may not want to take the curriculum course, but you just want to take the Intro to CS course. Or you could also take a curriculum course. We've had curriculum leaders take the curriculum course, even though they weren't going to be teaching it, so that they have knowledge of what's going on in the classroom. Do districts need to be grant recipients to take the Intro to CS course? It is available. Deborah, are you still online?
I am.
Deborah Boisvert
No,
is
you-
from, if you don't know her, she's from, she's the founder of CS for MA, and she runs a 2-week PD for computer science courses every summer. It'll be the last week of July, first week of August. And I believe, Deborah, you are holding the Intro to CS course this summer if people wanted to jump in this summer.
Yes, and I was going to actually make one other comment. I'm sorry, I'm in an airport right now, so you may hear some background noise, so I apologize. The other thing is that you were asking about the Intro to CS, but if you're an administrator, we also do Intro to CS for administrators. And so that might also be an interesting opportunity for administrators to start thinking about how to provide leadership around computer science.
Correct. And you can take that without having the grant.
Absolutely. We actually have several signed up this year. We don't have a grant right now. And just as a quick heads up, if you are interested this summer, we still have a few slots in some things. And we can pay for, we have corporate funding for the actual registration and hotel rooms. We can't do a stipend or travel, but we will provide you a hotel room and breakfast and lunch while you're there. And that's on our website.
Right, and so that is available now for your teachers, if you have teachers, or if you as an administrator or a leader would like to take any of those courses, you can go to csforma.org and look at the PD offerings. Are there other questions? All right, well, I know that you are all very busy people, so if you don't have any more questions for me, you're free to go, but I will hang around until everyone has left in case there are individual questions that you have.